Okay. We're officially calling the meeting of the Wyoming Library Board of Trustees to order. First thing is any additions to the agenda. I have to assume that we will need to discuss a possible replacement Marilyn to be nominated.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Not that I'm aware of.
And that's not personnel, so that is not executive session, right?
No.
Okay, great. Fabulous. So then we'll need to move on to the meeting minutes from May 13th. Did everybody have a chance to look at them?
I haven't been able to look at anything, and I don't have a treasurer report either today. So you can skip the treasurer report.
Okay.
I thought that she was so happy that we were having a later meeting and we were doing this to accommodate her, and she still didn't get it to you.
She was out sick and I got it today. And I was working all day. Today was the last day of school.
Yeah,
And I just had no chance to look at it. So I
Okay.
apologize.
Yeah, no, that's great.
That's fine.
In terms of meeting minutes, do we have enough to vote anyway? I know that we need to get them to Laura. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, we should so.
Okay, great. Someone needs to move to a vote then.
So moved.
1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's gonna be bouncing between you and me probably.
I'm gonna clean that one.
Okay.
Okay, great. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from the May 13th meeting?
All right,
Aye.
Any nays? One abstention. They have passed. And Laura, I'm gonna forward them to your personal just so that you have them.
Okay.
Gee, it's weird, I can't get them.
Okay, we're gonna skip the treasurer's report. Do you mind, Laura, putting that together and sending it, at some point in the next couple of weeks? I'd like to see May compared to June post fundraising letters, so it would be awesome if they weren't commingled.
Yes, no problem. I can do that.
I did this afternoon, looked over the report that she sent us in the afternoon a little bit. And one thing I noticed about the fundraising is that she put in, I don't know, this is something to keep in mind with those numbers. On January 6th of this year was deposited about $2,600, but obviously that was from last year. It's great. So just keep that in mind when you look at those numbers.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So the youth services report, everybody have a chance to look at that. We decided we're not voting on those reports, right?
Right.
Great.
You sent this.
Okay. Any
Questions?
comments?
Actually, I started to look at it. I didn't, but can you give us a quick,
Well, we're getting ready for the summer reading program, which starts next week.
we're getting rid of it?
Getting ready.
Already?
Starts next week.
Yeah.
And although honestly, our summer reading program is, there's a lot of different ways you could do it where it's very strict with a lot of requirements. Where you keep track of things. Ours is, especially this year, it's the most because you don't have to sign up for it, so it's totally, we're still doing a lot of programs and still encouraging people to read. And some people will be tracking their reading, but not everybody will be, so, yeah. But it starts next Saturday. And it's Color Our World. It's, Vermont participates in, the National Library, it's CLSP. Collaborative Library Summer Reading Program. A lot of libraries across the country participate. So, yep, and Carrie went out to the Head Start and also another preschool this month, and I went to promote the summer reading program to the elementary school.
And I will personally say that toddler playgroup Tuesdays are getting intense. There's a lot of kids there now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's like a huge uptick in attendance. You can barely walk in the room.
Oh, that's wild. I might need to take signups or something.
Oh, just
Still
that
having a
it's
good
just in
time.
this area?
Yeah, no,
Just in this room.
yeah, just
Yeah.
having a good time. It's not like so crowded that kids can't play.
Well, I mean, it's not so much playing, it's just walking and not bumping in, stepping on toes, fingers, things like that.
Sure. Yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely haven't run into that yet.
Or, you could, when it gets too crowded, just, your options are either have people sign up or first come, first serve. Because if the room is full,
All right, yeah, I
which
have
makes me think of something.
As I say, is there?
I have-
a fire safety.
I have always had, people have asked us, what, do we have room capacities? I know that at most places, like where I worked in COVID, you had to have room capacity, so
Right.
but I've not been able to find.
I doubt we have anything set up besides maximum building capacity.
Right,
And that's under fire regulations.
Well, the fire department sets up, what is the maximum building capacity?
usually it's one person per
Square foot,
square, but not like 2 by 2, so that
Well,
would be
so-
4 square.
But
by 4 square feet.
Yeah.
they
so
have to
one
come
person
and
by-
look at it,
Yeah, they
because
would,
it
but,
depends on the things you have in the room.
right.
Determining how many people can
Right.
be, and in this library, I wouldn't think it would be more than like 20.
Well, luckily we'll probably move outside. They'll probably move outside.
Yeah, I'm not even talking
So-
about this room, I'm talking about the rest of everything, it's
Yeah.
like, although usually it's shelves, a lot of shelves, if you have a lot of shelves, the capacity goes up.
Okay, anything else on youth before we move on to the director's report? Cool, hearing nothing.
I finally got my,
Scoot on along.
I finally got my email on, okay, so I can read things.
As did I cheated, I made my phone a hotspot.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
it's a trim little report. It's nice to read.
So what?
I said it's just like
Good.
it's a one sheeter.
Oh, good.
And I love the brochure you make. It's so good. Anything to add?
Well, I don't probably have anything to add, but nothing in addition, except for the issues with Wi-Fi. And and also another issue with computers, and I will call the people about that. But next week, I'm also going to the American Library Association meeting. It was in the report, but I just
Yeah.
want to call your attention.
Are you good on staff coverage? So
Yeah, with the substitute, we have insurance. I mean, unless somebody's sick, and
Yeah.
I mean, then, but everything's covered.
awesome. Okay. Anybody have questions on that report?
No,
Cool. So the fundraising report, I mentioned it before we had a quorum. I picked up the mailing materials from Red House Press early last week, and as a result, didn't have time to make packets for all of you. So I stuffed them at home. We're mailing to about 270 people, and I wrote personal notes in about 20. I just did any donations above 250. I wrote a little note. I did remove a couple of people based on very recent giving and foundation giving that you're not supposed to like directly approach. I won't say the name of the donor specifically, but they gave a large gift in winter. So I didn't solicit them again. But I will send Donna, I will like upload the list of donors for Donna, and Donna's gonna drop the link at town hall. So we're
no, it's a limb.
good to go.
Oh,
Nice.
is that because I gave you a sad face? You're muted. She thinks you was a company, Bill was.
Are you talking to me, Donna?
No, I was talking to Lynn, who came in, but
Oh, okay.
she's blocked. She said she wasn't coming.
Awesome.
Okay.
So any questions about the fundraising report?
No,
Are the envelopes, you have the labels on them and
I
everything?
do.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, labels
So if
are,
I see anybody I know that you haven't written a note, I could write a note.
yeah, if you want to go through them.
Yeah, because I know personally some of the larger donors.
Fabulous. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we say, it's me again.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
Awesome. Yeah, they all got a letter, a remittance envelope, and one of these snazzy summer brochures. So that's pretty cool. Awesome.
This looks great.
This looks so
It
good.
does.
Yeah, and it really like makes the case for why you should make it
Oh, yeah.
because there's so much happening. So
And
it's
I
super-
love the fact that you left plenty of white space.
yeah,
That's one thing I've noticed when people make trifolds. Is they try to cram so much information, people open it up and it's like, it's black.
yeah, no, it feels good.
Really good.
Awesome. So that concludes my report. We are moving on to the policy committee. Did you guys have a chance to meet and?
I found. Because we had talked about the policy for what to do with the investment
Oh,
account.
investment account.
And I thought we had talked about it and then asked Matt and he said.
We had, I didn't remember what changes we wanted
Yeah,
to
and
make.
then I
I
went-
thought that was what Marilyn was taking care of and,
But then I went, and on my computer at home, I had it.
yes,
So,
I saw you
that's
sent
what
it
I-
out yesterday.
Yeah, so I sent it out. So basically,
So that is basically my original write-up.
right,
Very rough.
I think the thing. That was. Not missing, but it says not to take more than 5% annually, but if we do. 4 quarters. And we take like 4%, that could be more than 5%.
If I remember correctly, when talking with the investment firm.
Yeah.
They said that when we say we want 4%,
Yeah.
that's on an annual basis.
Oh, okay,
With that
So they-
18-month rollback.
Okay.
And basically the 5% is if we want to exceed the recommended cap of 4 to 4.5. We can per the policy, but again, everything, this is really more of a guidance than a
Right.
policy.
right. I mean, because there was no mention of it before at all,
Right.
so,
And this is more, these are guardrails we want to set ourselves, but we don't want to necessarily be encumbered by them either because circumstances can change.
Right.
So if we need to go outside the guardrails, the way this is written, it allows for that.
right,
That's why there's a lot of mays and shoulds and
right. But I think it was also good to identify. What, like. Did we decide, I, like, everybody calls it something different, the account. Like when I asked about previous administration, they called it the. What they called it, the preservation account.
yeah, that's why, that's why. I listed it, so one of the way I was taught to write when I was much younger. Was when you have a big long name.
Yeah.
And you're doing the whole thing where you're gonna mention it a lot. What you do is you write out the big long name and then in parentheses afterwards. You put how you're going to refer to it through the rest of the document.
So do you think we have to vote on calling it a sustainability investment account?
I think if you approve this,
Yeah.
that's what.
Then that's-
Yeah.
Because that's taken care of.
And I, down at the bottom. Where I said define anywhere distribution disbursement goes to in our income, and I know that was at the time. Because Lori at the town hall was sticking it under fundraising and. Was like, no, it has to go, and it goes into the to from account. So
That's
now.
what she says.
Well, even fundraising goes to the to from account. The
Right.
problem is the to from account has about
Right,
50 different categories under it.
right,
This should be going under something called realized gains
realized gains.
or investment income or something along those lines. It should
So
not be going under
Right,
fundraising.
so the town has to put it under. Or if they don't already have something that says, which means there is a realized gain.
I don't know.
I think-
I look at the numbers thing and my eyes go squarely.
I think Laura said that it's going to library other income slash expense. Laura, I forwarded you the policy since your Whiting Library one's acting up. And I was just looking at the line in the May 2025 report from the treasurer.
I actually don't know exactly if she puts it in a line item because it's in the due to from account.
Right.
Yeah, it's
And-
not gonna be, you know, what.
And we
she
had this
called-
whole argument with her.
It's gonna be below. You know, the
She was
line
gonna make a
below.
memo. She was gonna have like a little note or memo at the very bottom with an asterisk whenever a check comes in. But I don't think it's recorded in such a way where we can actually see that it's I mean, are we talking about the 5% that we get?
Right, quarterly.
The quarterly, yeah, it's not really recorded anywhere. It's part of the due to from account in terms of the overall total. But it's not recorded anywhere else in a separate way. And I said to her, well, we would like to know how much like the checks are written for. And she said, I can make like a little note or memo whenever there's a check that comes through.
Because you would think when we do the end of the year, when we're doing the budget for next year, that we could say to the town, we contributed
Except
through the sustainability account,
Yeah.
this much money. So, because they're all saying that we have all
They're-
this money, we never use it.
but they're really never gonna see that, honestly.
Right. No,
They're never gonna realize that or see it really, because it's not. Lori also told us, I mean, it's not gonna be a line in our budget, even once it gets, like, we can't move it into our operating budget.
right,
That money will never go into our operating budget.
But that's literally what we're doing.
No, it can't do that. She insists, but we could spend it by overspending our budget. It doesn't go in the budget. There's no, because it's already been accounted for as, that money's already been there as unrealized gains. So you can't put the same money in again. They spent an hour talking to us about this. So we can just, I mean, you could spend that money, but it doesn't show up as,
Apparently, we need Lori to come in and explain this to all of us because everything I'm hearing makes no damn sense.
well, it doesn't make sense to me either, in a way, because they said, well, that we didn't understand accounting principle, but
That's
I
what
mean,
she
I'm-
said.
yeah, she did say that, and I'm thinking, well, we might not understand this accounting principle, but another accounting principle that we do understand is that you can't spend something you don't have. And the operating budget is where you show what you're gonna spend, so you gotta put it in there. But she did say that it wasn't, that's why it needs to be like, she said she would do like a note so we could see, and when we would do the budget to the town, we would have a note at the bottom saying that, because, you know, you want your budgets to balance.
Yeah, this is as
She
much
said that it
income.
wasn't going to balance because,
It should be. This is as much income as what Chester pays us or
but
Andover pays
really,
us.
because.
No,
the way they
really.
say it, no, because it's already been in there as unrealized gains. I don't, what you have to,
Or actually
what we
take
have to figure out is how do you turn unrealized gains into realized gains? And it's show them in your budget, because this is what they said, it's already in there, so you can't put the same money in there twice. And that's what they said, and,
as an asset, it's in there.
right,
It's not as, I used to do budgets.
yes,
But
is
was-
like an asset,
But
and-
I kept my own spreadsheet, but it's an asset. When was in the bank, it's
Right.
there, it's one of our assets, but we are taking it from
Right,
point
so
A that we can't touch to point
Do they
B
actually-
that, okay, we can spend this if we want to.
are they actually sending a check? It is a
Yeah.
physical, yes, I'd seen it, so it is a check.
That's what
It
Laura
is a
said,
check,
they're
it is a
sending
check, so. Yeah, I don't, but they did tell us we did not understand accounting principles.
At some point.
your
doesn't-
face, I'm with you.
Doesn't an unrealized gain being cashed out become a realized gain?
Yeah.
How is it unrealized if it's in our hand?
Yeah.
Now, you know why my eyes go all squiggly squaggly when I look at
When
those
I go into-
financial
When I go
records.
to the town hall, Cause I used to go to the machine and run the
Yeah.
things through. And then I would break it and Amy would finish it. But, I will see if Lori's there. I will see if she has a minute.
Cool.
Or I'll set up an appointment with her and say, as the secretary, and, cause I know Laura's busy,
Yeah,
we need to understand this.
we need it in layman's terms.
Right, and I can throw at
We,
her.
we need a
I-
code switch from accountant
$million
to person.
And let's say that it's true, let's pretend like it's true that you can't do that. You guys have to work together to find a record
Right.
so that you can. You know, like if we're gonna get money 4 times a year, what's the total? So it has to have like,
We have to figure out
it
how,
has,
We won't know the total till we get it because of the 18-month rolling average.
you won't know until you get it,
right,
but you'll know like. If they would just put like first quarter, $2,000,
And
second
it-
quarter, 3,000.
It should also come in end of the year statement from our
right.
investment
Oh,
Yeah.
right, right.
manager.
Yeah,
Right, right.
so that way we can kind of, you know, we have to kind of keep it separate, but in our ad, put it back together. That would be something. Right now, it's very difficult.
But basically, we wanna say to them, we wanna see on our monthly reports. Even if it's only quarterly. We wanna see that realized gain.
Okay.
From our investment.
In terms of this policy,
Mhm.
I'm hearing what we need to find out is that answer before we're ready to vote on it, so we can add it to the policy.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And the other thing that the way I read this, which is fine, is that we can use the money that they disperse 4 times a year. For anything in the operating budget.
Correct.
Either, okay, that's want to make sure, that's what it says, and that's what you want.
Then, yeah, that's my understanding. We're adding the money on essentially the same level as Chester funding us and overfunding us as money for the operating budget, period.
Mhm.
Did we move forward at all on the personnel policy regarding floating holidays and Monday closures and all that good stuff?
We did,
Okay,
We have a Thursday we're closed.
Right.
Thursday,
Well, that was that was the big thing is, I think we decided that. They would get. Floating holidays, but the big thing was, if the library. Is normally open and it's closed for a holiday and a person doesn't work on that day. Does that person get the holiday pay? That was what the discussion was, correct?
That is that's the important thing.
Right.
The other thing that I thought about afterwards, that I think would be great if it was in there. Like that, is how do you, like, if you do. PTO in lieu of, you know, holidays, when somebody. Like when the library's closed for a holiday, they may or may not work, but they get PTO in front of it instead. When is that awarded? And when does it have to be used by? I mean, is it awarded at their anniversary date or is it awarded at the holiday date? That's needs to be specified.
yeah, because that becomes tricky for like late year holidays.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they would, I don't know whether necessarily it's tricky, it's just much more, if, it's just would be harder if you're gonna
Yeah.
award it on the anniversary date, and they have a year, like if they started on December 20th, and they had a year, it's just like everybody's start and end date would be different, and it's just a lot hard to keep track
It
of.
would be easier to
And-
keep track of it, so everything started the first of the year.
Well, or do you really want, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Of course,
So-
but say like, if someone, those 6 holidays. What if someone, you award them on January 1st? They quit on January 12th and they took all their holidays. I mean,
That's yeah.
Yeah, you can. Um. You can't do that. I mean, there's a way of.
the only
saying-
way I think you can say you can't do that is by saying you don't get the holiday until, like, you don't get the July 4th holiday until July 4th.
Until,
Then you have maybe a year to use it or whatever, however time you want, but that's the only way I think.
yeah,
Unless
there's
you
a
might
way
do
of,
something else.
when, in the school system, if someone left. there was a way of like, you know, you left and you got, you know, this much.
Honestly, as complicated as this is, and it keeps becoming more and more so every time we discuss it, it's time to call in some legal help. This has gone way beyond five minds.
I looked at different, I got on the Vermont Library Association and I looked on different places and a lot of them were. You know, that you got the holiday, but if you didn't work that day normally, then you did not get it.
So if,
I read like 4 different libraries.
Yeah. if you're gonna call in legal help, which is a good idea, I think you ought to work it just a little bit more to. Because the legal help, you're gonna need that legal help when you do that full personnel policy too. You might as well do them at the same time, and they're not gonna be done
Right,
now, immediately. And we're gonna have to, but you probably are gonna have to adopt some sort of temporary policy,
right.
right?
I would say, because I know Juneteenth is on a Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
which is coming up next week, right?
Mhm.
So the library will be closed,
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm.
I would say. And we could vote on this or what, is that give it to you and Kale, because you normally work,
Mhm.
and then once the decision is made. If the decision is to give it to the person that doesn't work, then we
Mhm.
give it to her later.
But they're getting the actual day off.
Yeah, but they
But
wouldn't.
she normally takes the day off.
It's-
So they're getting.
She
the day off.
already has the day off. She doesn't have a holiday.
Right, she normally has the day off, she doesn't work, they're getting the day off. And they're getting paid for it as if they were working.
Right.
She does not work normally on that day.
Mm.
So. If we decide that later that should be done, then we can give to her later.
See, a lot of places too, when they are strict about like a little bit, they give a lot of flexibility in the work week. So like if you were, you would be able to switch your days for that week. But
Yeah,
the
but
one
that's-
employee we're talking about with this issue doesn't have the flexibility to
Right,
change.
no,
it
but the
week.
thing is it's like the payroll for next week. You guys just put in for the vacation time, for the paid time off.
Yeah,
You're
for the
gonna
holiday,
get, you're gonna get the holiday
That's if we
pay,
work.
right, because the library is closed and normally you would work,
Uh-huh.
so. And that's just the way it is, and but the other person won't get it. Because she doesn't. know.
Yeah, I think the easiest thing to do when we wanted to talk about easiness, see, that's the thing, gotta decide, what's your priority?
Well, I think we've been going around and around with this for like 6 months now.
Donna's suggesting something. Do you want to make a motion to vote on it for a stopgap for June?
Right,
So, okay.
make a motion to. For the Juneteenth holiday. Pay holiday pay for the people who work on that day when the library is closed for a holiday. I don't know what's.
I think.
And then- Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday employees. Get the holiday pay and their paycheck for that time period. And that's it, and then if there's, we will make a discussion later after discussing with the HR lawyer, which I know many. Have.
So I have before you vote, I guess, or after you vote, but so. Just because we now know how long it's gonna take. What about Mondays? Because is that,
Mondays, you got, everybody gets Monday.
everybody, I just wanna make sure that's clear.
Yeah,
Everybody
everybody gets the
Monday.
Monday holiday, they get the vacation day.
Okay,
Get the
because
holiday.
Yeah,
everybody.
that's
Yeah,
nothing the vote touches on whatsoever.
Right,
It doesn't
right.
touch Monday holiday.
Right.
It's
no.
just
Just for
give
this
a
Thursday.
stopgap so that we know what to expect, so we have a lawyer. Work with us, so I know now.
Right, no, that the only issue is the holidays that fall on days when an employee doesn't normally work.
There'll be a Tuesday too, because Kilda, that is an example.
Right,
So like if it takes a while.
right,
It
right.
goes
but
that
hopefully-
Right now, as it stands, I will second the motion to deal with Juneteenth next week.
No, you need to say it differently than that, please. Say, because it may come up to be the Tuesday. If it takes 4 months to do a lawyer, we're gonna have the
No,
same.
well-
We're not dealing with 4 months out right now,
We're
Gail.
just doing with
We're
this,
dealing
just doing
with next week,
that's it.
All right,
June.
This too.
all
That's it.
right, but I
Okay.
just, then you have
No,
to
we
make
know,
its
we
motion.
know. and
Then we'll have to make another motion when the next one comes up. Yes, we're aware of that.
So motion made and seconded.
I second it.
Okay,
Got 2 seconds. All right, we kind of already discussed. Are we ready to vote? All right, great.
Yes.
All those in favor of the motion that Donna said, because there's absolutely no way I would regurgitate that. Say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any nays? Okay, so that has passed for now. Next steps for creating this policy legitimately, so we can stop doing this.
So let me make a motion.
Yeah.
That we hire a legal consultant to revise our personnel and holiday policy in a way that is legal and equitable.
Incredible. In second.
yes.
Okay, any discussion about the motion to hire a consultant? Look, all those in favor of hiring a legal consultant for the personnel and benefits policy, make policy that is legal and equitable. I got there. I'll say aye.
I,
Any nays? No, can't be possible. Great, it passed.
I will, because I'm not anymore, but I was a member of the Vermont Human Resources Association. And there were many lawyers there. But I will contact them to see if they have a recommendation, and I will see if I can get a lawyer and find out what it would cost.
Great.
The town needs someone. with
It's not an
18 months.
HR lawyer.
They didn't use an HR lawyer. The
I'll
town,
find out, well, I'll find out.
the town revised their HR,
Right.
their better,
I
their
will- I'll ask
policy
Julie.
within the last 2 years, and they had a consultant.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether it was a lawyer.
I will
We
find out.
like pro bono if possible.
And are you two comfortable moving forward with that as a policy committee? Should this be like a major group thing that we all are part of?
I think the policy committee is probably a good place to start
Right,
with
right.
starting the process with a consultant.
Great.
And when we come toward a final product, we bring the consultant into the whole board.
Sweet.
Correct.
All right, any other policy committee reports or discussions that we need to have? Okey doke, any old business?
So no more.
New business, we need to talk about, making a nomination for Maryland's empty seat, right? Is that something that we figure out?
It is, and then we let the town know.
Yeah.
So
Right.
on my way over tonight, I reached out to Chris Burks.
And
He's in if we want him.
he still has to go through, get all those, the.
No.
Signatures. and
So,
all that.
no, so this is an
Okay.
appointment. If he wants to bring it forward
Oh, then.
after the next election, this is him simply filling Maryland's seat until the next election.
And he was on the board. before.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and he got it.
Awesome, so what happens next? Do we vote on
So we,
appointing him and then bring him to town?
we vote to see if we agree that Chris is someone we all agree on.
Mhm.
And then, once we do that, we simply let Julie know, hey, this is our choice, we need a new appointment. Depending how quickly Julie's spoken with, it could happen.
I mean, the.
Oh, are they doing one tomorrow?
Yeah.
They could possibly add it, if not, it's the next one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great.
But, yeah, if I go in to the office tomorrow, I didn't notice on Marilyn's email if she copied anybody in town.
I
That
can
was
look real
just
quick.
us.
She
No,
did not.
Okay. I mean, she might have done it separately, but.
I did speak to Amy today actually about something else and I mentioned it, but that's not official, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a motion for Chris Burks to fill Maryland's vacancy until the next election.
Second,
All right, great. Any discussion? Great, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of appointing, what did you say?
Chris Burks.
Chris Burks, to fill Maryland's empty seat until the next election, say aye.
Aye.
Great, no nays, it passed. I have one additional thing. I don't know what it wasn't on the agenda because it happened today. I suppose it's technically new business, but also potentially also executive session. Grievances are usually sent to Bill, but I was copied on one because Bill is not in meetings right now. And it is a personnel discussion that I don't know how to handle.
So what you do as acting chair is first, you call for, I believe this is right, call for a vote to enter executive section per the regulations for personnel matters.
Okay.
Then we vote to enter executive session. It's two separate motions. It's weird.
Okay, great.
I get it from watching the select board
Gotta
meetings.
have those piped into my earbuds. So I'm calling it motion to enter executive session, to discuss a matter of personnel.
I will second.
We vote on that?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. And now I'm calling a motion to enter executive session. Do we?
Just the board?
Just the board, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Okay, anyway, I'm
you have
gonna.
to turn off, get back out.
Okay,
Okay. Move to come out of executive session.
Seconded,
all those in favor of coming out of executive session?
Aye.
aye.
Any nays? Great, hearing none, you're out of executive session. Shall I go get Dale?
Do we need her for anything?
If there's any more new business, I guess.
I don't think we have any. I think we're just motion to adjourn.
There's no public.
No public.
Great. Great, did you second?
Okay, second.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Great, we are adjourned. I will let her know.
Um. How can we do another one?
Still, I expected that to be longer, to be honest.
Well.